Hey y'all, and welcome back. So, y'all know I'm a serial business starter, and by that I mean that I've started and partnered in a variety of businesses in a variety of industries. Okay. However, I didn't really have a business that was both profitable and that I was happy about until I started my Rage Room business in 2022. At the time, I was only doing mobile and I really wasn't doing any booking. Maybe like two a month. Really, at the beginning, it really was one a month until I would sometimes do two, right? Whatever. And I was okay with that. But I knew I wanted to grow my business. So in June of 2023, I decided to get a physical location. I was getting calls and calls every day about starting a physical rage room, and people wanting to book with the physical and yada yada yada. So at the end of the day, I got a couple, like four or five no's in terms of being in somebody's space, and I finally got a yes. Okay, and I went for it. All right. Now I still kept my mobile part, but the physical location was open probably about 5 days a week for about 32 hours total. Now my job, I done stacked up on inventory. I done hired some of the daughters of some of my friends, and I just went into this business, right? Um, Unfortunately, in August of that same year, I lost my baby sister. And it's probably to date one of the most devastating things that ever happened to me. Because if you know me and my sisters, I have two sisters, one that passed away and one that I live with. Um, you're aware of how close we are extremely close. And so that was a devastating thing to me. So in the midst of having to grieve, I'm really trying to finish school. I was trying to raise my sons, one of which I think Nate had just turned 2 that year that she had passed away. So he's still like a baby, not even like a full toddler yet. Was still working my full-time job, and I was growing the business. I was working my business full-time too. There were days when I worked 14 to 20 days straight, right? No days off. I would literally go Monday through Friday at my full-time job. I would get off my full-time job on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I would go shopping for the Rage Room. I would be doing social media content for the Rage Room, maybe doing like an interview for the Rage Room, dealing with just bull crap with the Rage Room 3 days a week. And then 2 days, some of those days, I was working like both of those days. All right. I was stressing about where I was going to get inventory from because I had like ran out of inventory. um, I was I ended up losing one of my employees, I think in January. And so sometimes me and the boys would be at the rage room like on a full Saturday. It would be me and them. They would run around the place, and Langston would sometimes help me. And it was a yeah, it was a traumatic time. And just thinking about it now makes me want to like tear up. I was working 10 to 11 hour days during that time, and still doing a full time, like everything. Everything was full time at the time. Looking back, I realized that I'm even lucky to see the other side because I know there are, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who can't even go through that particular amount of s- stress at one particular period and then make it out without a heart attack or stroke or a hospitalization for exhaustion, whatever. So I'm glad I made it out of that experience without needing to be in a hospital or see in my own grave. Right. Um, so anyway, I closed my physical location in April of 2022 for a really unrelated issues. About 6 months later, I realized that I was really unmotivated. Like when I would take breaks from school or work, I would sleep. And I mean like sleep. Yeah, I would just lay around, lay around. I would drop Nate off in the morning and then I would come home, lay around until I picked him up in the afternoon. And mind you now this, I own my home, so there's always something to do. If you're a homeowner, there's always something to do here. And I love a DIY. I used to love DIY. I used to love doing projects, all of that. When it would come to work, I wasn't teaching. I was literally coming in. I was doing maybe a 10-minute presentation. I would answer some questions, then I would sign work. And if a student needed help, I would get up and I would go help them, and I would go back right back to sitting at my desk. During that same time, there were a whole other host of personal issues that I was going through. And so basically that 2023, 2024 period was just horrible for me the whole time. It was horrible. Now, fast forward about 2 months ago, I'm having a conversation with my middle sister, and she's like, I'm not sure what is wrong with you, but it's like you've just lost your fight. Um, so I'm still in school to get my PhD, and during which time me and my professor are really butting heads. Like for the last 2 years, I feel like he's been stringing me along. It's just a whole tip, right? And so something happened, and I just was not fighting the fighting him. I was not fighting him. I was just doing whatever. And I remember telling her like, "Yeah, I just don't have no fight. I have no fight left in me. I'm exhausted. Not even sure what is going on in life anymore. I think, yeah, I'm just coasting. This is 2 months ago. I'm just coasting, right? I knew something was wrong, but I was so busy trying to keep everything afloat that I was, taking care of myself was something that I seriously had put on the back burner. Now, don't get me wrong. I was going out. I was enjoying my life. But when it came to like my work or my school or my business, I wasn't dealing with it. I was like checked out of the whole thing. Um, so I decided to make this episode because I realized, or I didn't realize, I'm sorry, that I was experiencing burnout. And if you would ask me now, probably some type of functional depression where I was showing up every day, but in the back of my mind, there's always this deep seated sadness that there's no cure from. There's no. It seemed like there was no why to, and I still to this day have a little bit of motivation left to where sometimes I don't even want to do the podcast. I don't even want to go to work. There are a lot of things that I don't want to do. Right. Um, so my sister passing away in 2023, um, and it just seems like to me that was last year. She passed away in 2023, and uh, you can tell me like it wasn't last week, right? Um, Now I know this particular story isn't everybody's story, but I know there are moms out there right now who are feeling like I have been feeling and can't put their finger on what's wrong. So today I did want to talk about burnout, how to spot burnout, how to potentially stop it and survive it, right? Especially when you're a single mom like myself who is juggling all things. We are typically juggling all things. Um, so first, I want to talk about what burnout is and what that looks like. So for me, I realized that I had lost two things that meant a great deal to me in a very short amount of time. One being my sister that I love dearly, and then another being the business that not only was I passionate about it, but she was also passionate about it. And so it was kind of like one of those shared things that we had, together. 1 minute, I'm planning to be the owner of this uber successful rage room company that would have both locations both in Atlanta and in Tennessee, where I'm from. And the next, I'm having to power through each day while I adjust to a new normal. One of which my sister just isn't present. Then I lose that one thing that was super passionate. I was super passionate about. And something that she was actively looking to own with. And when I say that, she would send me videos. I have videos now. She would send me videos about uh particular locations that she would find that were in Chattanooga and everything. So that's how like in it she was. Initially sleeping all day and feeling unmotivated were my clues to burnout because they're out of my norm, right? I don't normally sleep all day. I'm unmotivated. As a matter of fact, I'm completely opposite. I'm typically up all day, all night. Everything that I come across, I want to do, right? Um, but for you, there may be other signs, including like you may be snippy or easy to go off, right? Somebody says something and all of a sudden, like you snapping their heads off. You're snapping at your children. You might be snapping at your coworkers. You might be snapping at your employees. If you have a significant other you may be griping at them or whatever. You might even start to hate or resent your business. You might not take new clients, hardly showing up. So for me now, that looks like what it looked like last year when I realized that before I realized what was going on was I wasn't really taking any mobile bookings last year. I would get phone calls. I wouldn't call people back. Um, I wouldn't even check emails. I wouldn't get anything. I think in the last year, I may have taken maybe 2 or 3 bookings, because I just wasn't really in the space to take on anything new mentally, emotionally. Like, if a friend wanted me to do a rage room, I was there for them, but for the most part, I wasn't really there outside of that. Now, let me be clear, being burnt out doesn't mean that you're weak. As a matter of fact, it means that you've been strong and carrying the weight of the world for way too long and without a break. Let me also be clear in saying that I am not a psychologist. I am not a therapist. I am nowhere near qualified outside of my own experience with burnout and what I feel to be functional depression. So, if you feel like this is where you are, if that particular part of this resonated with you, my honest advice to you is to seek help. I did not seek help because I did what I did in this podcast, and kind of took my power back and kind of found it. And I picked up and I am powering through, even right as I sit here talking about the podcast, right? Um, Burnout is hard for single moms in particular because we are our own system. If nobody is going to pick up your baby, the baby doesn't get picked up. Okay. There's nobody else to pay the bills, go grocery shopping, or wash clothes. Now, I'm very fortunate because I do live with my sister. So we kind of share those responsibilities, but you may not have that, right? There's also this pressure to succeed fast, plus the fear of failure, and not just failing the business, but failing your family, right? It's when you're a single mompreneur, right? If you truly lack a support system, then you may find it hard to take a break or ask for help. There's nobody to leave the kids with while you take care of you. And that could be definitely hard. Even as I have my sister and my mom who are, supportive, I find myself not even saying, "Hey, I need a break. Can you whatever?" Sometimes I vocalize it, and then that's when people will spring into action. Oh, let me help. Do 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 do. But outside of that, nobody's like, "You need." No, you know what I'm saying? Um, so for some of us, in combination with all the other shit, right? Some of my black listeners may be dealing with strong black woman or the superwoman myth, where um we are kind of forced to start our day with this sense of like being strong, being painless, just to me, it's like godly. Like we're capable of anything. Like we can handle anything. Everything the world gives to us, we can handle that no problem. Right. Um, it's almost like we're superhumans, right? So having to go through our days in this state of just being strong is a heavy weight to carry on both our mental, and it plays a big role in why people don't help us or feel that we even need help. Right. To this day, I hate asking for help. Sometimes I really feel like, why should I even have to? Especially when people will look you dead in your face and say, I couldn't do it, And that can be kind of like, if you feel like you can't do it, what makes you think that I'm pulling it off every day? But anyway, so I've gone through all the important what's and whys. And now it's time for us to talk about how to avoid burnout. Number one, create a routine morning and night. Okay. I used to get up, rush through getting dressed, rush through getting the boys dressed. We'd rush out of the house. Already, my day is rushed, rushed, rushed. Right. Now I wake up in the morning. I wake up I wake the boys up at 6. I am typically up an hour before I wake the boys, which is 2 hours before I need to leave for work. Okay. During this time, I'll read, I may exercise, I'll stretch, I'll write, whatever, for a whole hour to myself. Okay. I'm up. I may be moving around the house. I may even be doing laundry. I may pick up some shit, whatever. At night, I make sure I have a routine for both boys. And for now, mostly it's my youngest son, but the oldest one still has a bedtime, still has to be bathed by a certain time, still has to have chores finished, all those things. So it's bath, brush teeth, read, then bed. And that's all before 8 o'clock. I love him to be in bed. My goal time is 7:30. Okay. If we make it by 7:30, I'm in there. Um, Then I have about an hour or 2 to myself. Again, I'll read, I might clean up some shit, I might write, whatever I wanna do before bed, okay? Setting these routines help us mentally prepare for our day in the morning and then reflect on our day at night. So they're, to me, super important. Number 2 is to create and set boundaries, okay? Um, I, in the future, plan on doing a whole podcast episode on boundaries because they are so important. But the gist of it is create those parameters around your life to ensure you are able to enjoy your life. Set and follow business hours. Put the phone down at 7:30 and don't you dare touch that damn email. It can wait till tomorrow. All right. Tell the kids that you're tired and that you need a minute. Communication is key when we're talking about creating boundaries. All right. I know it might be difficult for those of us with toddlers, myself included, because my son believes that wherever I am, he needs to be. Okay. That is on the toilet, that is in the tub, that is wherever. Okay. Now, I'm lucky because my oldest is super helpful because he'll take him outside. He'll play with him in the house until they start arguing or whatever and all that jazz. I don't have to worry about that. Number 3, delegate, 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 delegate. Sorry. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And don't feel a bit of guilt. Okay. Hire folks to do what you can't or won't do if it's feasible. It's feasible. And this includes getting your kids in on the action. So my oldest has chores, and all of your kids, toddlers included, should too. What do your friends do that you can barter, right? You have a friend that's a cleaning company and you hem clothes, make the trade. Girl, I will hem whatever you need for you just to come in here and deep clean this. You know what I'm saying? Make the trade. In your business, this might look like hiring a virtual assistant for a couple of hours a week to do whatever menial task, because you definitely have bigger fish to fry. We all know that. And I would even say look into interns or some type of help if you make things have a particularly busy week. So some of us are pressing shirts, we are doing embroidery, we may be decorating cakes, we may be making treats, we may be dipping strawberries, whatever the case may be. So have a person that, especially when you have a week where it's a pickup, Christmas is coming up, and then you need a lot of Rice Krispie treats done or whatever for the week because you had a lot of orders come in. Hire help to come in for 2 to 3 hours a day that you can just pay out and get those people to come in and help you. Okay. It's easy, simple. Number 4, schedule fun like it's gonna make you money. Like it's a must. Okay. Are you free on that Saturday? Find something to get into. It could be from brunch for friends, a music festival, something fun with the kids. Make sure to put it on the calendar and make a plan to attend. Okay. There are several things each year I know that I'll do. Okay. I'm not even playing with y'all. Thanks to my parents, I've and certain friends in the past that have helped me out. Uh, Short, start trading this time, okay? And honestly, it's okay if nothing is on the menu because rejuvenation is important when you are doing all the things that we have to do as single moms, okay? Number 5, self check in and be honest. Ask yourself, am I surviving or am I thriving? If you feel that you're struggling to get up, you're dreading work for your business, you're too drained to do the bare minimum for your kids, you are headed towards Burnsville. You are headed towards the burnout. And here's where you need to sit, diagnose, and treat by probably revisiting numbers 1 through 4 or seeing a therapist or someone who can assist. All right. You want to revisit what your routines are looking like. Are you enforcing your boundaries? Are you taking too much on right now? Is the limit 5 customers and you've probably gone to 10 and you've been at 10 customers consistently for 4 weeks and those extra 5 customers a week are really draining you? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Here you can use a burnout tracker. There are journals, voice notes, and then you can adjust if you've noticed that it's all become too heavy. Okay. Now, I do have a question. When's the last time you rested without feeling guilty? And if you don't know the answer, then it's probably time to take a break. Remember to utilize your circle, lean on those closest to you, and ask for help. I'm big on journaling. Journaling got me through a couple of tough, it's still getting me through a couple of rough times in my life. Um, I'm big on journaling, but sometimes the urge hits while I'm driving, and I'll just open the voice notes app on my phone and I'll just talk. And I be crying too. It's all part of it. I don't know, folks be on the road like, girl, is you okay? Like, you good? I'll put a link in the show notes to help you download my burnout SOS checklist and a Mompreneur reset journal page. And hopefully these help you curb burnout. Okay. All right, y'all. This is all for me today. I want to end this episode by again reminding you that burnout doesn't make you a bad mom or a bad business owner. It's not a sign. It's just a sign that you need to pick. You need to figure out what it is. We stop. We got diagnosed. We treat, and then we power through. Right, power through, and not necessarily power through is a bad thing to say, but we kind of get to where we're in a better place so that we can continue what we need to do. Right. Remember why you're doing what you're doing, and know that you're building something amazing. But peace has to be nearby, or the process will fall apart. If you found this episode helpful, please rate the podcast and share my podcast with a fellow mama, okay, who can utilize this information. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Naptime CEO Pod. And don't forget to come back every Wednesday for more Naptime CEO. Bye, y'all.